is Drew. I'm a director of streaming for Warner Records. And so Warner Records is under Warner Music Group. And so we're responsible for the artists for Saweetie, Lil Pump, NLB Choppa, you name it. So definitely the up and coming, but definitely legendary and legacy acts right now. And so, what was the other part of the question?
That's good. And we're going to talk about that because streaming is so important right now. We keep hearing about people having some special packages where they could buy streams. And
Right.
so you're going to give us some insight into that. We saw how upset Khaled was about his sales. So I know you're going to break all of that down for us today.
Yes,
We'll make sure it's very relevant. Okay, Shannon.
Hi everyone, my name is Shannon Jones. I'm the co-founder of Verb, a marketing consultancy based here in New York and LA. And I've actually worked on the agency side of the industry for about 15 years, working a lot with brand partnerships and proprietary events. So everything from tour sponsorships to festivals and events, you name it, I've done it, worked with a lot of your faves. And so I'm excited to talk about the experiential space as it relates to the marketing industry.
Now, one thing we were talking about with Shannon was a lot of these artists have their own festivals happening right now. So we're going to get into that and a whole lot more so you can give us some insight into who is getting these brand partnerships, how is this happening, what are brands looking for, what do we look for when it comes to a brand, when it comes to trust. Because you know how important it is for us to represent in that space or else sometimes it gets done wrong, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, Goldie.
What's up, everyone? I'm Goldie Harris. I'm the founder of 24 Hours. It's a creative studio and platform where community and culture verge. With 24 Hours, we have a few live music platforms where we give indie artists a chance to be heard on an authentic level. And outside of 24 Hours, I work over at Rock Nation, pushing emerging and independent artists forward with our new distribution label, EQ Distro.
That's amazing because we hear so much about independent artists, right? But it's not that easy. Everybody's like, why don't you just go independent? And if it was that easy, everybody would do it. What are major labels here for now? And what are the benefits? And sometimes there's less benefits into being independent, but we can have you definitely address those things because it's not easy to be independent. And Brian B. Dot,
Hi, Angela.
we know him as Brian Miller, but it turns out his last name is really Millar.
Yo. That's French. Hi, everybody. My name is Brian B. Miller. I am currently the lead music correspondent over at MTV News, and I'm also the co-host of the Rap Radar podcast on Tidal with Elliot Wilson.
I know Brian for a very long time. I like to say he's my son.
That makes you a mother. Well, you know the rest.
Terrible joke. And I just remember when the whole blogging started, B-Dot used to hate being called a blogger.
Yeah.
So we're going to get, which I enjoy calling that. So we're going to get into that as well. We're going to talk about that space and how you've evolved, because B-Dot started off at like Don Diva or something, right? At Don Diva.
You did your homework, huh?
With baggy clothes and everything.
I still got the bad clothes.
All right, so let's get it started. Now that you know who our panelists are here, you guys will also have a chance to ask questions when this is all said and done. But let's just, on a personal level, talk about what influenced you guys to do what it is that you do now. Growing up, was this your passion? What inspired you?
Wow. Well, I would say when I was 10 years old, I saw Diddy, All About the Benjamins. I watched that music video, and I was like, I want to be just like him. And so, like, what happened was that I just ended up, like, looking in albums, and my dad is, like, a huge music connoisseur from Ghana, and he, like, Earth, Wind & Fire, Curtis Mayfield, some Michael Jackson, like, all this stuff. So I looked in the back of these albums, sometimes vinyl, and I looked to see, like, who was responsible for the A&R, who was responsible for marketing, who was responsible for, like, the publicity. And so I just got so enamored with that, and I just was like, I want to do whatever it is those people are responsible for, whoever got them on TV. So it would be collecting magazines, I would, collect other different things and just pull names together. And so through a lot of, like, just admiring from afar, interning, and then just God just helping out all throughout the way. And then, of course, Howard University. And, so that was definitely something that I really appreciated. And then just really, like, interning and working with dope people with B-Dot, him and my brother. B-Dot and my brother are, like, really close friends. And so it's like...
We're okay.
Yeah. But that's definitely what inspired me, the industry, just the business and the work ethic, and I love it to this day. I've been at Warner, I've been at Def Jam, been at Primary Wave, worked as a writer, also as a publicist as well. So yeah, love it so much.
I mean, you want to go down the line?
Go ahead, Vida, jump in.
I'm sorry. I mean, just growing up from Queens, so, you know, you used to see these larger-than-life figures like LL Cool J or 50 Cent or the Run DMCs in the neighborhood. So, you know, you always wanted to be inspired or, you know, look like those guys. So I was, you know, inundated that at an early age. But also just movies like Backstage really influenced me early. I was like, wow, I want to know, Jay-Z's cool, but who's this other guy, you know, like that's putting the show together. And subconsciously, I just loved hip-hop. You know, in New York City, hip-hop is everywhere. It's the birthplace. So I used to like cut out magazines, take street team posters, plaster my wall with them. You know, and subconsciously I was kind of grooming myself to be a journalist because the same articles I was cutting out in the magazine, these are my colleagues to this day. So just being in an environment and being immersed, you know, here in New York City just kind of influenced where I am today.
For me, it's been more about the brand side than the music side to start. I remember growing up, I always had this idea before I even knew the name of the job that I wanted to tell brands what to do with their money. I don't know how I came up with that, but I remember like the local businesses that used to sponsor the rec league teams, like the pizza guy that had the name on the back of the jerseys. And I started working with local businesses to sponsor sports teams, and that was my first foray into brand partnerships. And then when I was in college, you know, the cool job on campus was to throw all the concerts. So we brought Kanye to campus, we brought John Legend to campus, and the big thing there was you had to find a brand partner to get the bigger artists, and this was still Pink Polo Backpack Kanye, so not that big. But you know, working with Pepsi to try to get them to cut a check so that we could bring a partnership to campus. And so that's really how I got my start in this side of the space. And then working with different agencies over the years, it's always been about how to, you know, bring opportunities to our community and our artists. So that's really been my passion as far as the music space, of just like how to get these checks from brands.
And I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes now in what brands are looking for as far as in the urban space, because there used to be a time when people didn't really want to do a lot with us, and now everyone is flocking, trying to capitalize. So I know there has to be a balance for you as far as making sure that it's genuine, making sure that it's an authentic partnership, and making sure they represent us the right way.
Absolutely. I mean, we were just talking about one of the brand partnerships that I worked on years ago was one of Drake's first brand deals, like sponsoring his first tour, and Sprite had beat us by a couple of months, otherwise it would have been his first major brand partnership. And it took me a year to convince AT&T to do a deal with him. I mean, if you can even remember a time when a brand didn't know who Drake was, and I'm sending them like covers, I'm like, he's on GQ, he's at the Grammys, like all these things. And so there was definitely a lot of education that had to happen before, versus now it's much more mainstream. Like I remember seeing Lil Yachty on a Sprite commercial, I was like, what? This is great. You know, it's just been such a huge transition, and I think the appreciation for culture has really changed that dynamic, and it's really undeniable. You know, the numbers don't lie, and so the way that you used to have to convince brand partners the value of these artists has definitely changed a lot as we start to own these spaces for ourselves, you know, without the gatekeepers.
All right, and we're going to dig more into that too, because I want to talk about lyrics and artists and being able to get partnerships, because we see people lose deals because of their lyrics, but you signed up knowing what type of artist you were signing up to work with, but we'll talk more about that. All right, Angoli.
So for me, both my father and my stepfather were musicians. So I grew up in a home with a full-blown recording studio built out in the basement. So I was used to just heavy dance hall and reggae beats. And I would try myself, like, can I sing? I couldn't sing, I couldn't rap, I couldn't engineer. I was like, all right, so maybe making music isn't for me. But it wasn't until high school and really college where I realized that you can create through music in so many different ways. So I used to throw a ton of parties, and then, like you, during my undergrad, I was in charge of our Spring Fest, and that opened up the doors for me to be the production manager for the Brooklyn Hip Hop Festival and the art relations lead for the A3C Festival. And now I'm over at Rock Nation. So I'm at Rock Nation being a sponge and just soaking everything up.
And Goldie, you're a very young woman navigating through this industry. industry. So let's talk about your journey and what that's like for you. I've heard people say that being younger sometimes is a disadvantage because people don't take you as serious. So for yourself, what has that been like as a young woman of color?
Most definitely. I'm 25, so I'm not young. I don't think I'm that young, but in the industry, it's really hard because people look at you at the age that you are now and just assume that you don't necessarily have the experience, so they don't take you as serious. So I really had to. I'll talk about 24 hours. I really had to create my own lane and create my own table. I opened up my own studio because people weren't taking me serious enough. Venues weren't respecting my culture, so I had to create a lane for myself and really prove myself in that way. On the corporate level, I feel really lucky to have mentors who really look out for me. I feel like it's not like that for every woman in the industry. Sometimes it can be a little feisty out there, but I have some people who really want to see me win, and I think that's unusual, and I'm really lucky for that.
I just have one thing to add about being young in the industry. I can remember starting out at different agencies, and I'm dating myself a little bit, but at the time, ringtones were just starting to blow up, and nobody in the company knew anything about it. They didn't know who Soulja Boy was. They didn't know what is this thing. But yet we were going into meetings with the labels, and they were all focused on selling ringtones, and they were selling hundreds of thousands of dollars of these singles. And so I was able to just slide in the boardroom, say, oh, I can talk about that. I can speak to that. And so figuring out how you can use your age to your advantage, be that resource, be a sponge, but there's so many ways that you can be a valuable contributor because you are on the pulse of what's hot, what's new. Like, I had heard of TikTok. I didn't know about Musical.ly. I was learning that from younger people in the office. And so I think that finding that way to be a resource to the team because you are a little bit younger and know what's going on.